Welcome to While We Were Distracted, the podcast where we explore topics that often get overshadowed in the rush of daily life. Please take a moment to like and subscribe. It really helps.
Ever get that feeling like someone's always adding things to your to-do list when you're not looking? You
Yeah.
turn around and there's like three more things.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we're diving into today. It's a massive backlog of you should really fix this notes,
Mm-hmm.
but for the government.
And not us any notes. We're talking about priority recommendations from the GAO,
Oh, okay.
the Government Accountability Office. They're the people that are making sure that things are running as smoothly as possible in the world of Uncle Sam.
Think of them as like the ultimate accountability buddies, but for like the entire U.S. government. And get this, we're talking over 5,300 open recommendations.
Wow.
But for this deep dive, we're zeroing in on the 483 flagged as priority.
Okay.
These aren't just like suggestions.
Right.
It's more like you need to deal with this ASAP kind of items.
Yeah, it's like a flashing red light on the government's dashboard,
Oh,
and some of these lights have been blinking for a while.
oh, that's got to be nerve-wracking. So which agencies are we talking about here?
Yeah.
And what kinds of things are they being told to fix? This sounds like a recipe for some serious bureaucratic drama.
Well, the drama goes way back. The oldest open recommendation in this data set is from February of 2015.
Oh, wow.
It's about the FDA, and it might make you think twice about that imported food you're enjoying.
Wait, 2015? That's like ancient history in internet years. What's the issue?
So the GAO found that the FDA might not have enough staff to inspect foreign food facilities to the same level as they do here in the U.S.
Oh,
So there's a potential gap in how thoroughly those imported foods are being checked,
okay.
and that recommendation has been sitting there unresolved for almost a decade.
Okay, that's a little unsettling. It's like knowing there's a leak in the roof, but nobody's fixing it.
Yeah.
And it's been tripping for almost 10 years. So is it just the FDA that's on this priority list, or are we talking about a bigger mess?
Oh, it's way bigger than just the FDA. We're talking about a who's who of government agencies. The Department of Defense,
Uh-huh.
Homeland Security, Veterans Affairs,
Wow, the heavy hitters. Anyone else?
you name it. The Environmental Protection Agency,
Yep.
NASA, even the Small Business Administration.
Wow.
They're all on this list. And the recommendations cover a wild range of issues. We're talking cybersecurity, financial management, healthcare, disaster preparedness.
So it's like a to-do list for fixing the entire country. So it's not just about one specific area of government.
Right.
These recommendations kind of touch upon pretty much everything.
Exactly. And it really highlights how the GEO's oversight role extends to almost every corner of the government.
Okay, so we've got 483 priority recommendations
Yeah.
spanning a ton of agencies and issues.
Uh-huh.
I'm guessing we can't go through all of them.
Right.
Can we at least dive into some of the juiciest examples?
Absolutely.
You know, the ones that really make you go, wait, they haven't fixed that yet.
Yeah, let's start with one from April 2024.
Okay.
Aimed at the Defense Health Agency, the GAO found that they need to improve how they monitor clinical actions
Okay.
taken against healthcare providers.
Clinical actions. Sounds a bit technical. What does that even mean?
Think of it like this. If a doctor does something wrong, maybe they make a serious mistake or their conduct is questionable,
Yeah.
they can face restrictions or even lose their license to practice.
Right.
These are called clinical actions.
So the GAO is basically saying that the Defense Health Agency isn't keeping good enough tabs on doctors who might be a risk to patients.
Right. The concern is that without strong monitoring, potentially dangerous providers could slip through the cracks and put military personnel and their families at risk.
Okay, that's definitely something you want to see fixed ASAP. Makes you wonder how long these kinds of issues have been going on. What else is on this fix-it list?
Let's jump to something that's been making headlines lately.
Okay.
Blockchain and crypto assets.
Oh, yeah.
In July 2023, the GAO issued a whole bunch of recommendations saying that multiple agencies, including the FDIC, the Federal Reserve, and the SEC,
Wow.
need to get their act together and coordinate how they oversee this crazy world of digital finance.
It's like the Wild West out there with crypto.
Right.
So what's the big deal about these agencies coordinating?
Well, think about it. With everyone doing their own thing, there's a huge risk of things falling through the cracks.
Yeah.
That could mean more opportunities for fraud, money laundering, and other financial shenanigans.
Yikes. So it's not just about protecting our data, it's about protecting our wallets, too. What else has the GAO been flagging?
Well, this one hits close to home for a lot of people. Military housing.
Okay.
In April 2023, the GAO recommended that the Department of Defense needs to do a better job of collecting feedback from the families that are actually living in military housing.
That makes sense. Military families already sacrifice so much. The least we can do is make sure they have safe and decent housing. But why is feedback so important here? Don't they have inspectors and stuff?
Inspections are one thing, but getting direct feedback from residents can reveal issues that might otherwise go unnoticed.
Oh, okay.
Think about things like recurring maintenance problems,
Yeah.
safety concerns,
Mm.
or even instances of neglect by the private companies managing these properties.
It's like getting a restaurant review from someone who actually ate there, not just from the health inspector who popped in for 5 minutes. You get the real story.
Exactly.
Okay, this is getting pretty intense. What else do we have?
Let's go from houses to something a bit more, radioactive.
Okay.
In July 2023, the GAO issued a recommendation about risk management at Los Alamos National Laboratory,
Okay.
the place where they do all sorts of top secret nuclear research.
Nuclear research, that sounds a bit above my pay grade. What's the issue there?
The GAO basically said that the Department of Energy isn't always taking a risk-informed approach to decision-making at Los Alamos.
Hmm.
And when you're dealing with nuclear materials, even a small miscalculation can have huge consequences.
So it's not just about preventing a Chernobyl-level disaster. It's about making sure they're thinking through all the potential risks, even the small ones,
Right.
and having a plan to deal with them.
Exactly. We're talking about protecting the environment, public health, and national security. It's a big deal.
Wow, these examples are already pretty mind-blowing. And this is just a tiny fraction of the 483 priority recommendations
Right.
the GAO has issued.
That's right. And as you can imagine, some of these recommendations have been open for a while.
Which begs the question, if these issues are so important, why aren't they being fixed? Are agencies just ignoring the GAO? What are the consequences of inaction?
There are great questions, and we're going to dig into those very issues after a quick break. Stay with us.
All right, so we've established that the government's to-do list is overflowing with, priority fixes.
Right.
But are there any common themes in all of this?
Yeah.
Is it just random stuff, or are there like certain areas where they're really dropping the ball?
That's a sharp observation. And you're right, there are definitely some recurring patterns.
Okay.
The GAO has actually done their own analysis, and one thing they found is that a lot of these recommendations revolve around information security.
Well, that makes sense. Cybersecurity is a hot topic these days.
Yeah.
Not just for the government.
Right.
Everyone's worried about hackers and data breaches and all that stuff.
Right.
So is it just about making sure government computers are safe, or is there more to it?
It goes way beyond just protecting computers. We're talking about safeguarding sensitive data, critical infrastructure, and national security. These days, a cyber attack can cripple entire systems from power grids to financial institutions.
That's scary stuff. So are there any other areas where the GAO is like repeatedly sounding the alarm?
Another big one is financial management. It seems like there are always recommendations about agencies needing to tighten up their accounting practices, improve transparency, and prevent waste, fraud, and abuse.
Oh, that's never good. Are we talking about like specific agencies here, or is this like a systemic issue across the board?
It's a bit of both. There are certainly some agencies that get flagged more often than others, but the GAO also points to broader challenges like the need for better financial reporting and more robust internal controls.
So it's not just about catching the bad guys after the fact.
Right.
It's about building systems that prevent those problems from happening in the first place.
Precisely. It's about creating a culture of accountability and making sure that every taxpayer dollar is used wisely.
Okay, so cybersecurity and financial management. Got it. Any other big-ticket items on this recurring to-do list?
Healthcare is another area that pops up frequently. The GAO has issued numerous recommendations about the quality and accessibility of care provided by government programs, particularly Medicare, Medicaid, and the VA healthcare system.
That's a huge issue. Healthcare impacts everyone,
Right.
and these programs serve millions of Americans. What are some of the key concerns that the GAO has raised?
Well, they flagged everything from long wait times for appointments to inadequate oversight of healthcare providers. There have even been recommendations about improving the electronic health record systems used by some agencies.
It's interesting how these themes connect.
Yeah.
For instance, cybersecurity is also a major concern for healthcare because of all the sensitive patient data involved.
Absolutely. And when you think about financial management, it's critical for ensuring that these healthcare programs are sustainable in the long run.
It's all connected like a giant web. So if we step back and look at the big picture, what does it all mean? What can we learn from these patterns?
I think it highlights the sheer complexity of running a government in the 21st century. Agencies are dealing with everything from rapid technological advancements to growing cybersecurity threats to an ever-increasing demand for services. And all of this is happening against a backdrop of limited resources and often outdated systems.
It's like trying to juggle flaming chainsaws while riding a unicycle on a tightrope.
That's one way to put it. And in that context, the GAO's recommendations are like a set of instructions for how to stay balanced, avoid disaster.
So it's not just about pointing fingers and saying you messed up.
Right.
It's about providing guidance and support, to help agencies do better?
Exactly. The GAO isn't just an auditor, they're a partner in helping the government achieve its goals and serve the American people effectively.
This is all super insightful,
Yeah,
but I'm sure our listeners are wondering, okay, the GAO is making these recommendations,
right.
but what happens next? Are agencies actually implementing these changes? And what happens if they don't?
Yeah.
Do they get like a timeout or something?
Well, there's no timeout corner for government agencies, unfortunately. The GAO does track the status of its recommendations, but it's a complex process, and the level of compliance varies widely.
So some agencies are better at following directions than others.
Exactly. Some are very responsive to the GAO's recommendations, while others drag their feet. And in some cases, recommendations can languish for years without being fully addressed. It's a bit like telling your teenager to clean their room. Sometimes it happens right away, and other times you're stuck staring at the same pile of clothes for months.
Okay, I can relate to that. But all jokes aside, what are the potential consequences if these recommendations are just ignored?
The consequences can be serious, depending on the issue. We could be talking about financial losses due to waste or fraud,
Yeah.
national security breaches due to cybersecurity vulnerabilities, or even risks to public health and safety.
So the stakes are pretty high.
Yeah,
It really underscores the importance of the GAO's work.
absolutely. Their recommendations are not just bureaucratic, busy work. They're about ensuring that the government operates effectively, efficiently, and ethically.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive,
Yeah,
from specific examples of those priority fixes to the bigger picture of what the GAO is trying to achieve. We've even touched upon some of the challenges and consequences of getting things done in
yeah.
the vast world of government.
And remember, we've only scratched the surface here.
Right.
We've been focusing on those 483 priority recommendations, but there are thousands of other open recommendations out there
Oh, wow.
covering a mind-boggling array of government activities.
Whoa, that's a lot to unpack. But you've got me thinking, with so many areas needing attention,
Yeah,
how do we even begin to prioritize?
right.
What should we, as citizens, be most concerned about?
That's the million-dollar question, and we'll tackle that along with some ideas for what we can do about all of this right after this.
Okay, we're back. And I don't know about you, but my head is kind of spinning a bit after that deep dive into the GAO's priority recommendations.
Yeah,
It's a lot to process.
it is.
Cybersecurity, financial management, healthcare, nuclear waste, all these areas where the government's being told, hey, you really need to step up your game.
Yeah, it's definitely a reality check. And the big question that's kind of lingering for me is, what can we actually do about it?
Right,
It's easy to feel powerless when you're faced with this like massive bureaucratic machine.
right. Like we're just everyday people. Like what difference can we actually make?
Well, for starters, we can resist the temptation to just throw our hands up in the air and say it's all hopeless.
Yeah, true,
The first step to solving any problem is understanding it, right?
true. Knowledge is power, as they say.
Right.
So where do we even start? Should we just like camp out on the GAO website and start reading like every single report?
The GAO website is a great resource, and I definitely encourage everyone to check it out. But maybe start with the areas that you're most passionate about.
Okay.
What keeps you up at night? Is it climate change, healthcare access, national security?
Hmm.
Focus your energy there.
Okay, so let's say I've done my homework and I'm all fired up about a particular issue.
Yeah.
What's next? Do I just start yelling at my TV?
Well, yelling at the TV might make you feel better,
Yeah,
but it's probably not going to move the needle.
right.
Remember those elected officials we talked about earlier?
Yeah.
The ones that are supposed to be like representing our interests?
Oh, right. Our senators and representatives, those folks.
Reach out to them.
But are they really going to listen to like one random person calling their office?
You'd be surprised. Elected officials pay attention to their constituents, especially when they hear from a lot of them.
Oh, okay.
Contact your representatives and tell them what you've learned and why you care about these issues. Ask them what they're doing to address the GAO's recommendations,
Okay.
and hold them accountable for their actions.
So it's like a collective we're watching you kind of thing.
Exactly, and don't underestimate the power of collective action.
Hmm.
Support organizations that are working to promote government accountability and transparency. There are a lot of watchdog groups out there that are doing great work holding the government's feet to the fire.
And let's not forget about the power of social media. Share articles, reports, stories about these issues with your network.
Yes,
Get people talking about it.
absolutely.
The more awareness we raise,
Yeah,
the more pressure we can put on our leaders to actually do something.
absolutely. Apathy is the enemy here. We can't afford to be passive bystanders. We need to be engaged citizens demanding that our government operates efficiently, effectively, and ethically.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. It's so easy to just get caught up in the day-to-day and forget that there's this whole other level where these decisions are being made that impact all of us.
Right.
But, it's really up to us to stay informed, hold our leaders accountable, and just demand better from our government.
Well said. And remember, the GAO is just one piece of the puzzle. There are countless other organizations and individuals working to make our government better. So do your research, get involved, and let's work together to build a more responsive and accountable government.
Check the description for more info on how to attain the full list of priorities. Join X.com and voice your opinions on the priorities for government reform by engaging in the conversation. Tag at Doge and at Non-Citizen 5.